and the stage is set. I'd like to bring on stage our moderator first. He's a visionary academician turned politician. He first earned his MBBS degree from Kozhikode Medical College, and after completing this, he transitioned into the Indian Civil Accountant Service, which is the ICAS, where he served various critical roles across Kerala and Karnataka, and ultimately becoming the Deputy Accountant General for both states. As I mentioned, he is an academician turned politician, and his ability to use digital platforms to communicate with people, address essential issues, has been lauded by all. We are proud to present to you Dr. P. Sarin. Hearty welcome, sir. He is going to be moderating this session on policy designs for green future. Dr. Sarin, may I request you to take the seat according to those photographs? Thank you. Bringing on stage first, the first panelist is the founder chairman of the Center for Public Policy Research, an independent think tank based in Kochi, Kerala. And this man has over 22 years of experience as a public policy researcher. Proud to present to you Dr. D. Dhanuraj. Hearty welcome, sir. Our next panelist is a seasoned academician and industry expert with over 12 years of experience. She serves as a senior associate professor and head of the School of Commerce and Management with Lingaya's Vidyapeeth, Faridabad. We'd like to bring on stage Dr. Samriti Mahajan. Her research spans digital marketing, consumer behavior, and brand management. Hearty welcome, ma'am. And our final panelist is joining them on stage. He founded his company, 4Seer Technology Limited, in the year 2021 in Bangalore, and later he expanded operations to the Middle East as well. And he's a certified GRI, which is Global Reporting Initiative professional, and a CSRD fundamental certificate holder as well. Presenting to you, Mr. Thomas Verghese. Hearty welcome, sir. So that you can better see them, yes. Over to you, Dr. Sarin.
Good morning, all. Jain University is hosting a a week-long futuristic event at Kochi, and today is day 6, I guess, and tomorrow is the concluding day. So today we are talking about green future and all, and this session roughly is for 40 minutes. We will wind it up by 12:30. We are having 3 speakers here. So you all know the jargon, green future. Now, apart from just being a jargon, what it holds for us and what it holds for our future is what we are going to discuss. And we are more keen in discussing the policy frameworks, basically the governmental policies as well as the corporate policies in securing a green future. So what we will do for at least 5 to 7 minutes, all the 3 speakers can introduce this concept of policy, what all policies are there in place, and how to ensure the regulatory framework is in place, what all additions are to be made, both in private as well as in the public sector, as well as the PPP initiatives, etc. So the first speaker, Dhanuraj sir, can elaborate on the policies that Government of India has rolled out in the last 1 decade of not just ensuring that development is happening during our times, but a sustainable mode is put in place for the future as well. So the last 1 decade of policies which safeguards a green future.
Thank you so much for inviting me for this very interesting, insightful Future Summit. When I speak about policies, I think I should also speak about present and then talk about future, because our future is determined by what we do in the present times. When you look at green future policies, I have agreements and disagreements with, because as a policy researcher, I have agreements and disagreements with some of the state actions or the government decisions. But generally, since the moderator asked me about us to elaborate on what are the policies taken up by Government of India, all this discussion started 10 years back. Precisely, if I'd say, we all know the Copenhagen Summit, then we have Paris Summit. This is the annual. We have COPs happening every year, Conference of Parties. So we had this big statement or commitment from 10 years back that we'll be committing to 500 gigawatts renewable energy that will play a major role in our energy production and distribution. Today, if I look at it, if you look at the statistics, 2024 December statistics shows that around 243 gigawatts of energy is being produced. That is around 47% of the total energy produced is in renewables. We have also given impetus to electric, from fossil fuel automobiles to electric vehicles. Now, I think tomorrow is the budget day. If you go through any newspapers today, I'm sure everybody is talking about hydrogen. Finance minister will give a lot of emphasis to, that's the expectation, emphasis to the hydrogen-related energy consumption and the plants that are being distributed, and the subsidies are given to them. So we have solar photovoltaic panels, then we have electric vehicles, then we have the famed subsidy, that is the subsidy given by Government of India to electric vehicles. These are the areas I have agreements and disagreements. I can get into some of the details later. I think India is also going to be the first in the world to have hydrogen-powered railways. That announcement has also come. Whether these things are linked into future green, agree and disagree. I leave it there. I'll get into that discussion later on. My reflections will be, I was introduced as somebody working in the policy field for the last 22 years. I worked at national level, international level with various state governments. So my reflections would be on my ground understanding. I go to field and collect evidence, talk to policymakers, politicians, and decision makers. That is where I have agreements and disagreements. And I believe all of us should understand what is good, what needs to be done, what should be the focus on in a country where we are trying to be the world's third largest economy. We are saying $10 trillion US economy. I think green future has a very, very, very significant role to play in our future economies. But the challenge is how are we trying to address it? We'll come to that later.
Right. Samriti ma'am, a couple of weeks back, this Bharat Mobility Global Expo, it got concluded in New Delhi, and our Prime Minister has made a thorough speech about his vision for the green future also. Now, this is a season of global investors meet happening in every state. Of course, it follows a pattern. We had the World Economic Forum at Davos last couple of weeks back, and it concluded last week. And now, all the state cabinets had representation in Davos. They would have met a lot of people over there, and they will bring in those people to discuss about the future of their states, etc. And February happens to be the month of global investors meet in every Indian state. Okay. Now, Kerala is also trying to pitch in with a summit in the third week of February, I guess. All the South Indian states had a separate session in Davos as well. Now, coming back to this the Bharat Mobility Global Expo that happened in Delhi. You come from Faridabad, you teach there, you are the dean there. Now, Delhi is infamous for the air pollution that is happening over there. One of the dirtiest cities to live in is the moniker that Delhi has earned these days. Now, can you please give us a brief about what plagues Delhi, the capital of our country, with respect to the environmental degradation that is happening there, and also the pitch that the Prime Minister made during the concluding remark of that Mobility Expo, especially the hydrogen fuel, net zero carbon declaration, etc., etc. So first, I would like to know from you about your Delhi experience in ensuring a green future, and then also this particular remarks made by the Prime Minister.
So first of all, foremost, I would like to thank you, the Jain University, for bringing so much diligently speakers over here, where the students are really engaging. And thank you to the moderator to bring up such a nice question, actually. So basically, talking about Delhi, even I'm not from Delhi, I'm just working there. I'm from a very beautiful place, that is in Himachal, Dalhousie, right?
Oh,
so yeah, so when I come from Dalhousie, so such a natural beauty is there, totally clean air, and even you don't require any ROs to have the consume water, right? So when I came to the Delhi, and earlier I joined corporate, so I was into Carvey stockbroking, if I talk. So there was many summits if we talk about. We used to go to the conferences and talk a lot about how we can improve our India, how we are going to move forward. And even if we still talk about, and in the books we study, so it is still mentioned that we are a developing country. So do we really think that still we are developing, or it should be changed? So I just thought, took this decision that I should change my forte, and I joined the academics. And why academics? Because I really want to educate our youngsters. And even why youngsters? Because they are the one who need a better tomorrow. We are already like, we have millennials age. Then after that we went to the generation Z. Alpha is gone, and now we have our beta generation. So are we really securing the future for our beta generation? So that is a question for all the youngsters. And in the expo, where PM Modi spoke about 4 different parameters about our carbon emission, EV, solar energy, wind energy, and even a Paris Agreement, that was a highlight, right? And even in January itself, Donald Trump, he spoke about that how the Paris Agreement, he is going to take 196 countries into the different various parameters. And what is Paris Agreement? It basically talk about the climate change. And when sir asked me about Delhi pollution, so the AQI of air quality index of Delhi, that is very pathetic. Early morning when we get up, so we don't open and see the air, we just switch on our air purifiers. Even in my home, there are 4 rooms, so we have kept air purifiers. Yeah, so that is the poor quality. But we can't work because sustainability, and if we talk about SDG goals, sustainability development goals. So there are 17 goals the government has already officially announced. And what those goals really means, quality education, no poverty, right? So if we really need to work on quality education, that is only going to lead for the employability. And Delhi is known as to give the youngsters and new people the employability. That's why it's very rush and crowd. Traffic is too much over there, right? So policies are being reframed. There are many policies come every year, even with the AAP party. They simulated one more concept of odd and even cars in Delhi. That was one concept he chose. But it was like ran for like 6 or 7 odd months. After that, it was stopped.
And
right?
then Delhi people were having 2 different car numbers.
Yeah, it was very difficult that time.
An odd number as well as an even number.
Even that time in the automotive industry, the market statistics rose high. And even the numbers, people were paying very high much amount to buy a particular number. If they have 2 odds, then one more car was purchased. So automobile industry that time made huge profit out of that. So even in universities, what we are doing, we are creating sustainable environments. We are doing some community drives. So it is not that only one person is going to take a stand and the quality of air will be improved, right? But we need to see what are the different other regions. If we talk about Bangalore, right? Traffic is there. There is no water, less water, water scarcity city, we can know. but the air quality is very good. The reason, more of plantation is there. They are adhering to the policies where there are certain set of areas where we need to not cut down the trees, and we have to that particular area. But in Delhi, same. People are just building, new commercialized properties are coming, foreign markets are entering into the Delhi industry because they are considering it as the capital market, right? They are earning. So only that is the one reason. And when I talk about into the academics, if I relate that how we are going to secure the future of coming tomorrow students and the young age. So we need to really map our SDG goals into the curriculum, that how community engagements, how the students really need to do CSR activities, and how there should be a mitigation of gap between corporate people and academics. Only then we can work on these parameters. Only reframing the policies is not only the solution. So rest we can discuss more further.
Right.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, Mr. Thomas, you had a company called 4C, right? Who are the 4 C's there, if I may know?
Actually, it resonates with 4 values
Oh,
which we
great.
carry.
Okay.
And it's also representing the fact that when you say it out loud, it comes at 4 seeing.
Okay.
Right? So there's a whole meaning behind that, because we as an organization focus heavily on sustainability as a concept.
Okay.
Plus, we are trying to convert these policies into actionable elements, right? So like Ms. Mahajan just said right now, it's not enough that policies are created and they are basically called out every year. These have to come down to corporates. They have to come down to the next level. There has to be public and private participation. So it's not one-sided, the way I look at it. So if it is just left to a government to just design the policies and do everything, it's never going to work.
Okay.
Right.
Now, I have a question for you. Now, this concept of E, S, and G, we call it environmental, social, and governance. It's a framework that private as well as public agencies are supposed to follow, right? So, it is quite understood that every business has to fall in line with the environmental safeguards that they are supposed to put into place, the social obligations that they are having, and the transparency about their governance. These are the what you call basic guidelines which dictates ESG. Now, if you can elaborate for the students as well as the crowd here, how it will be a what you call kind of it cannot be a handicap for sure in industrial development, as well as when we talk about achieving greater development as such in the country, but how it hampers the growth of industry, when we compare ourselves to what is practiced in the Western capitalist world.
Right. So now starting with, like you said, E, S, and G. So like you rightly said, it stands for environment, the social aspects, and the governance aspects. Now, there's a general consensus that all these things coming together can create an impact, right? Now, when you look at how these things are done in the Western end, recently you would have seen that how the US pulled out from the Paris Agreement, so it's sort of like people are trying to put the blame on others and say that, it's probably not my thing because I'm probably doing every part from my side. It's up to the countries or the third world countries like India or China. They are the biggest polluters out there. Probably that's their problem. So there's a lack of funding and all those things which happen in this thing. Now, one thing which we need to understand is like we have become a globalized world, right? I mean, this has happened 20, 30 years back itself. So every country is dependent on the other. So we are in a state wherein, it's not one person's responsibility alone, right? It has a collective responsibility. Now, if, let's say, some organization is producing a high-quality product in their country, and they're branding it, they're taking the benefits out of it, you need to understand that probably the production of the same thing happens in some third world country. And the buying market probably could be the developed countries. They're splurging money on this thing because they don't want to take the ownership of being the polluters, right? Being labeled that. They want clean air, everything on that side, but they let all those things be pumped back. Even for that matter, you would see that waste disposal is a major issue, right? Recently, there were cases where, waste was dumped into other countries, medical waste and all these things are transported from developed countries to other countries. Now, the problem is this entire chain is called supply chain, right? So anything which happens today, it might be produced in one part, might be consumed in some other part, disposed elsewhere, right? So this is how it goes. And when it comes to a corporate responsibility, like Ms. Mahajan said, CSR is definitely important, which stands for corporate social responsibility. Now, the thing is like you pollute, and then you probably take initiatives around, feeding the poor, or probably planting more trees and all things. Definitely welcome, and is a really good thing. But at the same time, anybody and everybody has a responsibility to say that the continuous activities they are doing towards, producing, manufacturing, running their businesses, also still have an impact on the carbon side of it. So how can they align their activities, come up with innovative ways of doing business in such a way that, you reduce it? So the first step for that is you need to know what you are creating, right? So I don't know how many of us know in a day, if you were to do a math for yourself, how much are you polluting the environment?
It's called the carbon footprint.
Exactly, the carbon footprint. And there's a whole science behind it. We call it the greenhouse gas emissions when you talk about the environment piece about it. And it is based on GHG protocols, how every activity happening around you, let's say I drove from a particular place to this place. So there's a way of calculating how much of a carbon footprint I have left. If somebody is taking a flight from a point to the other point, and some of you might have already seen while booking tickets that airlines today say that you are going on a green route, this is your carbon emission and all those things. So there's a science behind it, right? So each and everyone is a contributor to the whole cause, and nobody is spared in this thing. And to just put some statistics, if time permits, is that today there was a study which was conducted and published in The Guardian around year 2017, which said that around 100 companies, especially a majority of them being in the energy sector, contributed to 60 to 70% of the pollution in the world. Staggering, right? The thing is, if we say that, okay, corporates are not involved in this thing in fixing the mess, then you need to see that just 100 companies are creating this much. A study, one more as an example, is like we relate pollution to plastic, right? There was a study published in the Science Archive 2024, which was done by an independent body, which said that 56 companies in this world create 50% of the plastic production in the world. And just to put context to things, some relatable names. Coca-Cola comes as 11% of that 50. Pepsi is 5%. And Nestle is 3%. 3% might look very less, but you need to see that there's an entire island formed of plastic in the Pacific Ocean, right? So you see what you're doing is going to impact in a big way. Similarly, like I said, the supply chain has a big impact. I can be a very ethical company, right? I could say that I don't use plastic. I don't use, unnecessary electricity and all those things. But having said that, you still would contribute because you are putting the onus on somebody else. How does a bottle of mineral water packaged in a glass bottle come to your footstep, right? It is coming on either an EV or it is coming on a fuel guzzling kind of a big truck or something like that. Depends. So that's how you are part of that supply chain. You can't negate that you are there. But the only thing you can do is basically see that how you reduce it, right? You can never be zero. That is why India has set targets for 2050, to become a net zero, 2070 as a net zero nation. It's sort of like pragmatic if you look at it, but other countries have put more ambitious plans. They're saying 2050. Like Europe has the European Green Deal, which they're targeting 2050. We doubt it if this is going to be achieved because you had to meet less than 2 degree increase by 2030. Now, you might have heard of this thing, saying that by 2030, we should not cross certain threshold in terms of temperature. does somebody know that what is the starting point of this 2%? You know, let's say Kerala as an example. Today it's probably 34, 36 degrees out there, right? Where does this 2 degree come in context? It's basically pre-industrial time and post-industrial time. So it's somewhere like when the industrialization started happening in this world, there was a time where we started recording temperature. From that point onwards, till now, by 2030, the temperature should not go above 2%. Otherwise, we are in an alarming situation, and it's quite evident today, like the wildfire in Los Angeles or other aspects which we have seen, it's all contributing. And rain doesn't cease in Kerala anymore. It's raining now.
Okay, thank you. Now, a question to all the people out there. How many of you took Kochi Metro to reach this destination today? How many of you traveled by Kochi Metro by any chance today morning? None of you? Yeah, quite a few. Now, see, this Kochi Metro is not just a mode of transportation. It's called a mass rapid transport system. We call it, every metro for that matter, is a MRTS. Now, when you use Kochi Metro to commute, it means to say that you are reducing your carbon footprint. If you are cycling all the more good, okay? But none of us are doing that, or we don't have that kind of a, way of life. Now, as he has put science into everything that we are doing, now we should also be very cautious about how we are polluting the world, okay? So there is a principle called the polluter pays, right? It applies to the larger firms, the companies, the government, etc. In fact, it should be reduced to each individual, right? Polluter should pay. Now, start using Kochi Metro quite often. Park your car somewhere near to your nearest metro station. Go to MG Road or your favorite destination by metro and try to reduce your carbon footprint. Now, Dhanuraj sir, you are the chair of Center for Public Policy Research. You call it CPPR, right? Now, can you elaborate on this particular public policy research that is happening with respect to Kerala as such? Okay, we have an ambitious industrial policy put in place. We are going to have at least 2 hydrogen fuel clusters that got announced a couple of weeks back. And then we are also aspiring to become what you call as a knowledge economy, right? We want to pioneer the change of transforming ourselves into not just knowledge society, but to a knowledge economy. Now, from your experience so far, you are there for almost 20 years into public policy and all. Can you throw some light on how we are progressing towards a sustainable future?
Okay, so I start from Kochi Metro. The easiest thing to start with. I disagree with what you said, with due respect to the moderator. I've been writing about it. I've been policy circuit for last many years, national level also, international level, so discussing metro and city development. Now we are talking about environment. I know that's the topic for the day. I think we should also look at the total cost. I'm not talking in terms of total money that we are spending. It's also about, for every kilometer ridership, this is a classic example you can actually apply to every mode of discussion that we deal with climate change. Every kilometer of construction, how much mining we are doing. There is actually in Delhi IIT, for example, the respected Professor Geetam Tiwari and her team has come up with certain formulations last many years. Actually talks about, it's not only about per kilometer fossil fuel emission, it's also about per kilometer construction cost, where you are bringing all these cement. Cement is most polluting industry in the world. Everybody agrees to that. When we had the flood in 2018, I had a controversial debate with government of Kerala regarding, you had all these hills of our eastern range being, dumped into Kochi city to build Kochi Metro. I am not against metro. I work in mobility system for last 20 years. I can give you the minute details of how transport works out. But a city like Kochi, right, where you have a population of around 6 lakhs, is it the right optimized solution is the question. My concern is about, one is cost, of course, also the environment. We are not discussing how much steel is there in all the pillars that, I'm sure these pillars will come to our campus also in the next few years. Whether that's a right optimized solution, for me, I can give with evidence that's not the right solution, right? So in Delhi, for example.
You promote
Delhi,
cycling.
Yeah.
You promote cycling, that means.
No, it's not promoting cycling. Probably we should deal with better quality buses. We can have electric buses, right? A bus costs you around 20, 30 lakhs. Electric bus costs you around 80 lakhs in market price today. For every kilometer metro that you are building today costs you around 300 crores. And I can probably give you a free ride to everybody here if I utilize 20% of the money is being utilized for bus transport. I can give everybody in the city. That then probably all of us, you ask this question, how many took metro? I'm sure all of us will take buses, mini buses, micro buses, feeder system to come here. And that is less polluting compared to what metro is actually polluting. So I work with the Kochi Metro Rail. I help them, I give them insights. We have agreements and disagreements there. Now coming back to the question of what Kerala, see, public policy is all about three things. One is state, second is civil society, third is market. We say, Sarkar, Samaj and Bazaar. It's an interplay of all these. And everybody has a role in this. And if the environment is the key area that we are focusing on, market also has a role. I can give you hundreds of examples where we talked of fame now in my introductory talk. Fame is something that I'm sure many of you would have, with due respect to all the electric car owners here, you might have used to drive around. Think about it. Who are we subsidizing? We are subsidizing the elite in the country. Because the subsidy is only given to 20 lakhs and 50 lakhs above cars. And then next day, we complain about equity in the society. So policy making is it's an art. And there is always, you can always expect unintended consequence of this policy making. We talked about hydrogen plant. I remember 3-4 years back, Finance Minister of Kerala announced 2 hydrogen buses. And I was wondering, when I got into the conversation with some of our media channels, I raised this issue, how tested this hydrogen bus across the world, forget about India. And we are saying we are going to we are allotting some 100 crores for that. And I know to this day, nothing happened in Kerala. So it's not about announcements. I think we can do a lot of things to sustain, protect environment around us. Now, since we are in Kakinad, now, we also talk about the polluter pays. I think everybody has equal responsibility. Brahmapuram, we have seen, experienced. I wrote an article that time. Why are we not having class action suit in the country? If we had a class action suit in the country, Cochin Corporation would have been trouble, Kerala government would have been trouble. But unfortunately, in our judicial system, class action suit is a model that people pursue. I think those who pollute, as an individual, and the state also responsible. I'm not blaming, I know how Brahmapuram happened, how it happened, why it happened, and how should we avoid it. But the issue is, a state like Kerala, I think if you are looking at environment, don't go for the hi-fi ideas. I think Kerala is very educated. Kerala is thriving on private market, by the way, right? Our economy is actually private money. And go back to that principle of Samaj, Sarkar and market, bazaar. And I think they can actually contribute. We should sit around a table and discuss and debate, and then only you should have announcements.
Okay, right. Now, there is a gender angle also involved in ensuring a green future. The gender angle in the sense that we have to take into perspective the female gender as such when we lay down any policy for that matter for our shared future. Now, being a representative of that, what you call gender, how you would consider yourself where the issues of women as such are taken into consideration whenever policies are laid out. I'm not talking about the industrial policies. See, for example, there was one particular initiative to get away with all the traditional firewood and all that we use for our domestic cooking, and to replace it with LPG. That is, in fact, in a way of ensuring a greener future, right? Now, from the domestic side to the industrial side, the women angle to that developmental issue, how do you see that, and what are your remarks on that?
Okay. So if we talk about in India about the gender equality, right, and even the females, what are the pros and cons and how they are really actually facing the issues, and on the corner of the economy and on the corner of green future. So in the traditional areas, the women used to sit and they used to cook the food through using wood and all, right? So much of pollution was there. But still, currently also the women's are cooking, but I agree that even the males are part of it, right? So it's a combination of both, husband and wife, they are cooking all together, so it's less. Because even on the equality grounds, if we talk about the more parameters on the beauty products are there, right? So if we talk about the cosmetic sector, so most of the companies now, they are marketing their products which are green products in that equality, right? So if we talk about Mamaearth, so they are into that policy that if you buy a product, so they are going to plant a tree on your behalf. So that is a consideration, right? So females are contributing indirectly by buying makeup. If we talk about using some different products or clothing industry, women are more prone to buy more clothes as comparison to males. So the clothing industry also have this biodegradable, or even we can say that the clothes which are framed and again they are prepared from the old clothes. So that is, for example, Zara. Zara is doing that, and even H&M. So these are the two brands. And even Oyster is a company which is preparing a plant-based non-vegetarian, right? So the proteins, sometimes what happens that women are very prone to eat the non-vegetarian. So that company is there in the market, right? Because women body is that religion that it requires more of protein. So that company has came into an initiative that is providing Beyond Meat, that is a plant-based meat. They're providing the proteins that should nurture the body of a woman. So that is there. So I don't agree that much that if policies are being designed, so it is only limited to a female or a male. So it is inconsecutive of both the parameters, male or female. And even while we are providing, and if we talk about the sanitary napkins, right? So they are most of the polluting and they are not biodegradable easily. So the companies have really come up with some new products which are there into the market. The females can use the most hygienic parameters they are using into that. So that is the one part. And plus, along with that, I really feel that if we need to work on the policies, like sir was talking about, that policies are there, we need to debate before launching them. But are we really debating with our students also? Are the students being contributors? Because look, we are already working in the field where we see the things on the verge of only our upper hand. But the students or the younger crowd who is really working on the ground level, who is going to implement in actual, right? So they need to be a part of this policy making. In academics, what we have a framework now, we have done that we are providing a 2 credits in our curriculum. That students have to be with a holistic approach, and they are going to the companies, they are taking their problems and how the solution would be there, which is inclined with the CSR activity only, right? Although university doesn't need any CSR or these projects because they can do on a different level, right? They are society, they are already giving the education to the kids. But still, how we need to make aware our younger generation, how their contribution is really going to be a matter of act. Because we are done, but now these young generation need to come up with new ideas. Even we have enrolled few patents. We are working on patents. So earlier when we were reading on the articles about sustainability, about the consumer attitude, how the perception really plays an important role while buying the organic products. Since 2013-14, there were no organic products. Even the people used to go into the market or the farms, they used to buy direct from the farmers itself, but in between some policies came. So then a new terminology came, the organic products, right? Females were very happy that now my family is going to have a healthy life. They'll get good nourishment, right? But how does a perception really played a role? How their attitude changed, how they were integrating with the attitude and the lifestyle. For example, being a female, I am bringing my lunch and I'm saying, oh yeah, look, I have got this and this is very organic these days. But is it affordable to other people also? Are the price value which a company has kept, is it equivalent to the market price, normal to the non-organic product? So that we need to see. So my end note would be that our young generation needs to be given such kind of projects which can really relate to the policies. So it is going to be a win-win situation for us. Policies are there, people are working, but in the end still we'll say there is so much of pollution, climate change is required, right? EV vehicles are needed into our India, right? And even other countries also, just for making a pollution-free country. When I landed in Cochin, so I was so happy that I have come to heaven. I felt like that. But I went to the market again, I saw that it's still polluted. Everywhere there was garbage. So you asked Delhi is polluted. I sorry to say to all Cochin people, but still initiatives are not being taken here also. I saw garbage, cows are there, cow dung is there. So students get up, rise up, take some initiatives, go into the market, take some cleaning drives. You should do that also. That is going to make your future secure. So that's all, sir. I know you're watching time.
Yeah,
we can speak a lot about this, right? But time is there.
I guess we'll get another 5 minutes extended, right? Okay, right.
Yeah,
now, talking about path-breaking innovations that are happening everywhere, for example, the DeepSeek, the AI, the Chinese AI. Now, as we all say that necessity is the mother of invention, this, what you call the embargo on the American chips vis-a-vis the export to Chinese market, that resulted in their own research, and in a span of couple of years, they could come up with the cheapest of all the technologies which hit the American market. You all know that. Now, coming to this particular research appetite, I will use the word appetite, not just the technological research, the research and the advancement that we need to put in to ensure a better future, a greener future, especially in the agricultural sector. I'm narrowing down my question to the advancements that we need to make in farming, in the agricultural sector. How do you think Kerala, we, a couple of generations back, we were just into agriculture alone. Then the nature of our economy changed from agriculture to service these days. Now, how do you see, not just Kerala, but India as such, we can help the farming community in a better way, where their crop yield is, if not made 4 times, at least double. Their the spending on the input is reduced, and then they can go risk-free in ensuring that their yield will not just fill their pockets, but also will be an incentive to do the cycle next year and the year after that, and bring their own next generation to that particular farming sector itself. So coupling with the greener future, how can this the research appetite that we can foster into the Indian students as well as the Indian community as such, in ensuring that the farming sector is also taken care of?
That's a very pertinent question as well. I'll start with DeepSeek since you brought it up. Just as a quick comparison, we all know that how war had happened, right? It was always that technology used to be imported and then probably be used, and then you become the consumer state. With DeepSeek, which was always in news in the past 1 week or so, was that how you could make it really cheap. It did not have to be so costly and all, right? Now, that happened because of the research appetite of a country like China, right? They started investing heavily. It's not just AI elements or the large language models which have been used in that, but it is more about, you see what is happening in terms of the technology space there. You see that they are coming with more innovative ways of doing everything, right? Be it agriculture, be it about electric vehicles, or how to conserve certain things, how to use less resources and make more out of it, right? Now, in terms of India, this whole debate started once same deep-seek aspect came in, that India is lacking in research. We don't have that mentality, at least, that's the perception generally, that we don't get into too much of a research. Now, I would not say that that's entirely true, because you would not have sent space explorations, or you wouldn't have a Chandrayaan going out there if there was no ISRO. And we actually replicated the same thing, which probably the larger countries out there thought that was never going to be possible, right? Coming to agriculture, definitely there is, agriculture by the fact is considered as one of the largest polluters, at least from a water perspective. Let me put it that way, right? Now, definitely technology and innovative ways of doing cultivation and also harnessing how much water you use, all these things can be done. Because if I take an example of just some countries out there, don't want to name anyone in particular, they basically grow things in a desert. Just to name out from my own experience, I have seen how the Middle East, especially in UAE, they have gone with circular farming, sort of like the shape itself. I don't mean like recycling, but it's a desert, a wasteland where this is happening, right? So definitely there has to be some level of innovation which has happened there, which can always be brought down to this side also. Now, from an India construct or a Kerala context, I come from the Kuttanad side. So basically I'm used to seeing lush paddy fields and a lot of streams, water. So we are never short on water, right? But whenever I go through that side, especially the Alapura Road, yeah, I see that what more can be done. So one of the innovative things which Kerala government has done is something to do with drones, using technology to see that how, drones can be used to map out places, understand if a particular space is, requires attention, you need to have certain kind of VD sites are coming in there. A lot of countries out there are using satellite technologies to basically map out placing that what yield, soil testing is happening, mapping is happening, all these things are happening. Plus, now how can a farmer benefit from all these things? Because they are always at the lowest strata, right? Probably a farmer makes 1 rupee and finally the wholesaler or whoever makes money out of it as a corporate level would make 100. That's a sort of comparison. Now, one way is carbon reducing, right? So what is happening today is there are a lot of technologies by which you can use agriculture as a carbon sink, right? So there's a concept, some of you might have heard about carbon markets, trading markets. Now these are actually tokens created by certain registry agencies working closely with farmers, right? So today we know of a lot of companies who actually go with farmers working in Mexico or Brazil and all, where large paddy fields or some sort of farming is happening. So depending upon that, the farmers get a piece of monetized amount from this thing, because this finally is used by corporates to do that net zero balancing. Because if I produce, let's say 1,000 metric ton of carbon, I can buy a token from the carbon market equivalent to, let's say, 800, because then I said that I will only have a net effect of 200 metric tons of carbon produced. So where does this token come from? It is because somebody in some part of the world is doing it. Some farmer is doing this. So that's one way. So water conservation from a technology perspective and learning from others, plus using technology more and more. That's how.
Thank you. Now, do we have time for questions from the audience? Do we have just one question? Yes, we can take just one question. Do you have any questions for the panelists? Yeah, Mary ma'am, please. Can you give a mic to her? Do you have a mic? Yes, ma'am.
You have stated that agriculture makes land a carbon sink. But those who know about agriculture, chemical fertilizers are the reason why soil becomes a carbon sink. But there are principles whereby we have to we have to use fertilizers. For example, how much fertilizer, where to put fertilizer, when to put fertilizer, have to irrigate after fertilization. If these 4 principles are practiced, it will never make the land a carbon sink. And then, we have emerged from a hand-to-mouth economy to a food self-sufficient economy and a food exporting economy, only with the help of the input use. Input use means irrigation, chemical fertilizers, high-yielding variety seeds, etc. So that statement, of course, there are very many evidences of that, because all the 4 principles I mentioned are not practiced by farmers. They are greedy, and because of greed, they use chemical fertilizers, chemical pesticides, etc. So if we control them,
it need not be the greed angle. It may be the ignorance angle as well, right?
Yeah, maybe all the 2 are there. And if we are able to control the abuse of chemicals, chemical fertilizers as well as pesticides,
yes,
it won't become a sink, a carbon sink. That is what my
acknowledged.
You're totally right on that.
Can I quickly
please,
comment on
quickly.
that? Ma'am, I think there is also a problem at the national level, we highly subsidized urea for last 4-5 decades. Because of urea usage, your potassium and phosphorus content in the soil has tremendously decreased. Complementing to that, all the governments declared minimum support price. It became a maximum support price over a period of time. So farmers are actually looking at those products where government and state will support, and they will utilize all these resources to increase their production. So I don't say farmers are greedy. Our policy is gone.
Yeah, absolutely right. Now this, the solution could be precision farming. We are yet to get introduced to that concept of precision farming. Many of the countries have made a lot of advancement there. Now I am concluding this. There was one documentary called An Inconvenient Truth on climate change. It was quite I think a couple of decades back, 2005, I guess, when Al Gore lost to George Bush during his second term of getting re-elected. Now, the inconvenient truth about climate change, if we don't speak about climate change, what we are going to encounter in the near future, not the extended future. Now, to secure, we are in 2025, and Jain University is pitching itself about a quarter of a century ahead, which is 2050. Now, in 2050, what kind of a world would we all like to live in? What kind of a country that we would be a part of, or what kind of a economy that Kerala should be having is all up to us to decide, and then get back to the government, the policy makers in place. All these kind of conclaves and deliberations will definitely help to make many points put across to the policy makers, and in achieving that particular target, this 40 minutes or 45-minute session is an eye-opener to many of the people sitting there and many of us sitting here as well. So thank you, Jain University, for having a wonderful session for the public policy or the policy changes for a greener future. Thank you all. Thank you to all the 3 panelists, wonderful panelists, for all your experience and your shared experience as well as your shared wisdom. Thank you all.
Thank you for that discussion that covered a gamut of themes under the topic that was given for the discussion. Huge variety of perspectives there, and we'd like to present a token of our appreciation to all 4 of them, for which I'd like to bring on stage Mr. Kumar, Director of ERP with Jain University. Starting with Dr. D. Dhanuraj. Dr. Samriti Mahajan. Mr. Thomas Verghese. And finally, our eloquent moderator, Dr. P. Sarin. I request all of you to step up for a group photograph. Yes. Thank you. Thank you once again.